Part 85. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 841. Groups of grey poisonous insects rushed towards Lumwian. Each fist-sized poisonous insect had a ferocious face and black fangs in its mouth. It was poisonous at first sight, and the mouth was still spraying poisonous gas. Ming Xiu frowned. It is not difficult to deal with hundreds of such poisons, but now the poisonous insects are not only close to 10,000, but also constantly drilled out of the body of the Zerg Master. Yan'er, let's go into the formation, Ming Xiu said while holding Lumwian's hand. Lumwian turned his head and gave him a reassuring look. It's okay, I like this kind of poisonous insect the most. Others twitched the corners of their mouths when they heard her words. This woman is really not a normal person. They looked at the terrifying poisonous insect, and she actually liked it the most. Then be careful, Ming Xiu pursed his lips and said. Lumwian's eyes did not hide the brilliance, indicating that she was really interested in these poisonous insects, and he had always had more confidence in her. Okay, go and help my brother and the others. Lumwian saw that Lumubai had already started suppressing the young master of the ghost clan, and Ming Xiu went to help him to kill other people quickly. And Ming Xiu nodded and turned around to join Lumubai's group. You all stay in the formation and don't come out first, Lumwian said as she looked at the elites of the legion she brought. In such a battle, it is very easy for them to fall out. If they can solve it, they still need to save their lives. Be careful. The whole group looked very depressed. They were originally here to help, but who knew that they still needed the protection of Lumwian and Ming Xiu's formation. Lumwian smiled slightly, and turned her head to stare at the poisonous insects that were about to approach her. Young master, that woman's eyes are very wrong, a Zerg master said with a tingling scalp. Lumwian's eyes are not only not afraid, but also happy like a wolf seeing meat. I don't believe that she can deal with our poisonous insects. The young master of the insect race snorted coldly. Poisonous insects have always been their trump card. In the past few years, they have been unfavorable in the battlefield outside the territory, and they have never encountered a nemesis or failed. That's right, even when Nalan's encounters are poisonous insects, he has to avoid their edge. Lumwian is too self-righteous, another alien agreed. So everyone else watched the poisonous insect approaching Lumwian. When the poisonous insect was about 50 paces away from Lumwian, everyone saw that she flipped her beautiful jade hand and pinched a few tricks at will. Suddenly, a trace of purple gold and dark green fire lines penetrated the entire area where the poisonous insects passed, forming a net-like encirclement. Let's see which of us is more poisonous. An arc formed on her lips. Her hands were constantly changing, and then the traces of fire began to intertwine, and the dark green smoke lingered, successfully blocking the progress of the poisonous insects. The traces of fire wire moved in a very regular way, and after a while, the gaps of each expelling worm were entangled by the fire wire. What kind of spirit fire is this? It's amazing. People from both camps saw that Lumwian's line of fire was no longer changing, and even they felt the aura of destruction, and there was a fragrance in the air. Hurry up, this scent is poisonous, someone exclaimed. Others have temporarily closed their 5 senses, because they are far away, so the impact is still within the tolerance range. The people who control the insect race are masters of controlling poisonous insects. After smelling the smell, their faces changed, and they immediately closed their breaths and ran their force to resist. Not only does she possess such a powerful spirit fire, but the spirit fire is also extremely poisonous. A Zerg master looked at the leader with a little panic and asked, what should we do, young master? The poison in the fire seems to be stronger than our poisonous insects. Our poisonous insects are invincible. It depends on whether they can survive. The young master of the beast-controlling tribe also showed a burning look in his eyes. If they absorb and refine all the fire poison of Lumwian, their strength will be greatly reduced. Take it to the next level. Yes, Our poisonous insects are cultivated with thousands of the most poisonous toxins on the interface and finally weed out the remaining elites. As long as Lum Wan's fire poison can be refined, their strength will not only improve a lot, but they will not be able to in the future. I will be afraid of fire again, an alien said excitedly. Their spirit worms have a disadvantage. In fact, they are somewhat afraid of spirit fire, but ordinary spirit fire can't do anything about them. In the past, the people of the Lingwen tribe were turned against by Lum Wan and others. They could steal chicken without losing rice. Now we may also thank Lum Wan for his fire poison. Another person also saw the benefit from it. I couldn't help holding my hands nervously. Lum Wan heard their words word for word, with a smile on her brows. These aliens are really whimsical. She has been using all kinds of poison to cultivate a kind of poisonous natal spirit fire, and she has never had the opportunity to use it to advance, but this time the Zerg control people have automatically given the opportunity. The fire poison continued to scorch the poisonous insects, and many of the poisonous insects couldn't hold up the fire poison 7 holes and fell to the ground, trembling, twitching and suffering in pain. And half of the poisonous insects gradually boiled down, and the gray shell gradually had a dark green pattern. The Zerg master's young master showed joy in his eyes. It's done, this woman Lum Wan has really helped us a lot. He found that the poisonous insect breath was many times stronger after it began to evolve. If it is brought out in the future, it will be able to sweep the entire field outside the territory. Lum Wan's eyes were so dark that she couldn't tell whether she was happy or angry. After she positioned the fire line, she stopped the movement of her hands. Everyone thought she was waiting to see if the fire poison could poison the insects that control the Zerg. But now it was clear that Lum Wan had failed, and he had inexplicably helped the other party. The people watching the battle from the black camp in the distance sighed and felt regretful in their hearts. They did not expect that a powerful spirit fire and fire poison like Lum Wan would be unable to take the other party's poisonous insects. Many people's hearts have also been mentioned. Now the poisonous insects of the Zerg race are obviously evolving, and they are already very powerful. After they have evolved, will the extraterritorial battlefield not become a world of poisonous insects? The people in the red camp were excited one by one. Lum Wan used huge resources to enhance the strength of the black camp, causing them to be repeatedly defeated and suppressed. Seeing the defeat in the western battlefield, the people in the central battlefield could only hide for most of the time, but who knew that the killer Zerg control people of their camp would send over to give them a bad breath. Seeing that the fist-sized gray poisonous insects gradually turned dark green, the breath became stronger and stronger, and their size began to more than double. They were even more excited, as if Lum Wan and others would soon be mutated and evolved by poisonous insects shred in general. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 842. The people who controlled the insect race felt the changes in the poisonous insects, and their faces showed joy. Release all the poisonous insects in your internal space. The young master of the insect race didn't want to let go of such a rare opportunity for mutation evolution. The reborn changes of the poisonous insects made the Zerg masters feel as excited as they had been beaten with blood, and their greed was even worse. Although half of this large number of poisonous insects have died, the remaining half is about to complete the evolution, and the strength will be several times that of the former Zerg army. They don't care about this loss, but are glad. Hearing the young master's words, he did not hesitate, and they released several other poisonous insects in the body space as their cards. Countless waves of poisonous insects of various colors rushed out of the Zerg racer's body, quickly catching up with the previous batch of poisonous insects, and biting and swallowing all the dead poisonous insects. Lum Wan squinted his eyes and raised an inconspicuous arc on his lips. She changed her hands a few times, and countless fire lines appeared out of thin air around the poisonous insects, which also wrapped the newly running poisonous insects in the fire net. Seeing this, people from both camps thought she was still doing senseless resistance. Lum Wan, are you crazy? You didn't see that your fire poison has already evolved their previous spirit insects. Do you still need to help them evolve other spirit insects? Suddenly, someone from the black camp in the distance couldn't help shouting in surprise. If the poisonous insects of the Zerg race have evolved, then their black camp will be really miserable. Hearing this person's words, many people complained to Lum Wan in their hearts, how could she be so self-willed? You shut up. Ming Xiu coldly swept the crowd in the distance, his eyes were fierce and murderous. If you have the ability to deal with the Zerg, shut up. If you don't have the ability, otherwise I don't mind opening up to the people of this camp. Kill. His family Yanner must have her own purpose for doing this, she can't contribute to the strength of the opponent's camp. After being swept by Ming Xiu's sharp and cold eyes, the thoughtful people in the black camp all felt a chill on their backs and quickly shut up. Yes, the red-clothed double kill also has a record of killing the alliance of this faction. They will not let go of anyone who violates their bottom line, no matter what camp they are. The most important thing is not to mention dealing with those ferocious and abnormal Zerg masters that are used as killers by the Red Square camp. Even the Mingxiu and the others are no match for them. They are not convinced but can only keep silent. They didn't forget that Lum Wan still has a spiritual pet that has been promoted to the fusion of heaven and human, and has not yet appeared. Yes. Lum Wan also has a powerful spiritual pet and a swarm of red bees. Maybe there will be a turning point. Those in the black camp comfort themselves. The silver-haired man who was standing among the aliens in the red camp with his arms frowned deeply. He sent a voice transmission to Nalan Ge who was fighting with the ghost race. What does this woman want to do? Do you need me to take action? He received an order from the Supreme Commander of the Black Faction headquarters to save the lives of Lum Wan and several others. Looking at her crazy now, he couldn't hold it anymore. Originally, the strength of the army of poisonous insects that controlled the Zerg was very powerful. If all the poisonous insects mutated and evolved, it would be fine. Not only for the lives of Lum Wan and the others, but also for the safety of the Black Faction, he felt that he could not let the situation develop like this. No, don't make a fool of yourself and break her plan. Although Nalanj didn't understand Lum Wan's approach, he knew that this woman was unprofitable after spending all these years with her, so how could she be the enemy's people make wedding dresses? What plan? Nalanj was about to lose his patience. I don't know, but this woman is not a normal person, she is a pervert, so you'd better not do a disservice, otherwise she will miss you, and you will be sad. Nalanj reflects his eldest brother a little gloating. There was a kind of expectation in my heart, whether it was his eldest brother who was perverted or the woman Lum Wan who was more perverted. Nalanj's brows furrowed even tighter, but he temporarily resisted the urge to shoot. It's not that he was afraid of Lum Wan when he listened to Nalanj's words, and he had analyzed Lum Wan before, and she really didn't seem to have the temperament that she knew that she would make a wedding dress for the other party. Seeing that Nalanj really didn't do anything, Nalanj was a little surprised, but he was actually relieved. Lum Wan, a cunning woman, definitely hides a very deep purpose. He feels that her stunt is not just as simple as spirit fire and fire poison. Although the number of poisonous insects released by the Zerg Master is not as good as the first batch, it is more poisonous and stronger. Surrounded by Lumu's fireworks poison, this time the poisonous insects actually survived more than half of their lives, and they also began to mutate and evolve. This result made the Zerg Masters very happy. The situation of the Ghost Clan was tragic. With the help of Ming Xiu, Ye Qinghan and the others took out all the lurking Ghost Clan and killed them. The battle between Lu Mubai and the young master of the Ghost Clan ended with Lu Mubai's superiority and the opponent's fall. Lu Mubai's battle made the people in the black camp relieved, but the bigger heart was raised. This is Lum Wan's masterpiece, which made them feel resentment but dare not express it. Time passed little by little, and 2 hours later, Lum Wan's face gradually turned pale, and the poisonous insects all mutated and evolved one by one. Haha. The Zerg Master young master couldn't help but let out an unpleasant hoarse laughter. Lum Wan, aren't you a spy of our red camp? You actually helped us evolve the army of spirit insects. Hearing his words, all the people in the black camp except Lum Wan's army were nervous. If Lum Wan was really a spy of the other camp, it would be troublesome. If she is a spy of the enemy faction, she will not provide us with resources, and it is even less likely that she will be hunted down by remote teleportation by the Zerg Masters. Others also felt that what he said was very reasonable, but instead of letting go, their hearts were higher. Lum Wan smiled sweetly, with a peerless elegance. You still want to provoke at this time, it really doesn't tarnish the word disgusting. The face of the Zerg Master's young master sank, and the more he disliked, the more he liked to mention it. Wan was really courting death. He immediately waved his hands, and looked at Lum Wan with cold eyes, as if he was looking at a dead man. I am so arrogant when I die, it is hard to solve my hatred if I don't kill you. After he finished speaking, he gave the other Zerg control people a look, and everyone made the same action. They wanted to control the poisonous insects to kill all the people from the black camp in Lum Wan. Lum Wan saw a strange arc on their lips. Really? Zerg control people always think that she laughs very sinisterly, and a strange feeling arises in their hearts. The actions in their hands speed up, and they just want to solve the anomaly of Lum Wan as soon as possible. But there was a scene that shocked them. No matter what they did, the evolved poisonous insects did not move at all, and the Zerg Masters communicated with the poisonous insects in a panic. What made them even more terrified was that their connection with the poisonous insects seemed to be forcibly severed. Lum Wan admired enough of them to change their faces, raised her eyebrows and said with a chuckle, "Do you want to do this?" As soon as her voice fell, the dark green poisonous insects lying on the ground moved, and one by one with fangs turned their direction and rushed towards the Zerg Master. Forgot to tell you, my spirit fire poison has another function, that is, it can erase the wisdom of all poisonous creatures and turn them into puppets controlled by my spirit fire spirit. Her voice was soft, clear, and sweet, but it made the Zerg Masters unable to bear the chill all over the body. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 843. The densely packed poisonous insects on the ground turned around and rushed towards the Zerg Masters. Young Master, what are we going to do? My connection with the poisonous insects has all been cut off. Have their spiritual wisdom been wiped out by Lum Wan's fire spirit? A Zerg Master asked in disbelief and horror. Although the spiritual worms they cultivated are not very intelligent, they can communicate and command within the scope of communication. The current poisonous worms are indeed like unconscious puppets. Retreat. The young master of the Zerg Master closed his eyes, covered the pain and resentment in his eyes, and gave a suffocating order. Yes, the other Zerg Masters were not interested in fighting at this time, and they knew better than anyone how powerful the poisonous insects were. Lum Wan hooked her lips and said, "Want to escape? It's a pity it's too late." As soon as her voice fell, she saw waves of red bees of different colors suddenly appeared behind the Zerg Master. Buzz, a harsh voice sounded throughout the space. "You can't treat us like this. If you kill us, the Supreme Commander of the Red Side will not let you go." The arrogant face of the young master of the Zerg was broken by panic. Lum Wan chuckled, "Don't forget, it's you who are now sent to the central battlefield to raid me. You are the ones who violated the rules first, and are you the only one who has a Supreme Commander? You really think we are black? Fang's top commander is a vegetarian." She knew that the top commanders on both sides of the battle today must have access to the record crystal ball, and her words actually contained some provocative elements. But since the top commander of the red side chose to wipe them off, then she naturally didn't need to be polite. It was impossible for the other party to slap her, and she had to reach out to the other side to slap her. She didn't believe that they really dared to intervene in the battle, not to mention that the three top commanders of the black side were not the targets of slaughter. You. The young master of the Zerg master angrily pointed his finger at Lum Wan, but he was overwhelmed by the red bee swarm and the army of poisonous insects before he could say the next words. Ah, more than a dozen shrill screams sounded. Everyone saw that the alien race of the Zerg race was bitten by the poisonous insect, and the whole body gradually turned black, and the white gauze that covered the face gradually fell off, revealing a ferocious, thin, and fearful face. Soon, more than a dozen Zerg control people were all bitten and swallowed by the poisonous insects they cultivated. The result of such a big reversal made people from both camps completely stunned. You can't live because of your own sins. It must be very pleasant to be bitten to death by the poisonous insects that you have raised. Lum Wan smiled, as if those poisonous insects were not under her control, which made the backs of the people in the red camp chill. This is not only a killing god, but also a big pervert. After the Zerg master was swallowed alive by his own poisonous insects, Lum Wan changed his hands a few times, and the line of fire wrapped around the poisonous insects absorbed all the poisonous gas emitted by the poisonous insects around him. In the end, all the lines of fire came together and turned into a palm-sized purple gold fire unicorn, and then flew to Lum Wan's shoulder and rubbed it intimately. With the continuous and powerful evolution of Lum Wan's spirit fire, a fire spirit with intelligence has been born, and the other party's poisonous insects are also controlled by the fire spirit. Then she took out a special spiritual pet ring she had refined and shot it. The pet ring immediately flew over the large swarms of poisonous insects, and she collected all the poisonous insects in a single move. She raised her eyes and looked at the aliens from the red camp watching the battle with a faint smile on her lips. Those aliens were completely chilled by her beautiful eyebrows, and without any hesitation, they fled quickly in all directions, for fear that one of them would accidentally fall into the hands of the perverted great demon king Lum Wan. Lum Wan saw the aliens from the red camp fled in a hurry, and a sweet voice poured out of her mouth, "It's really boring, why do you flee so fast? What kind of legion battle are you still fighting in the central battlefield when you die so early?" She really didn't want to take this opportunity to destroy all the alien races in the central battlefield. Now the red camp has lost their strongest trump card to suppress the black camp. She can't force the opponent into a dead end, otherwise the rabbit will bite in a hurry. What about people? The top commander of the red camp probably really wants to hate them this time, or it's better not to touch the other side's bad head for the time being. If they are in a hurry, what stupid tricks will be troublesome? She prefers Susutazi. The people in the black camp saw Lum Wan smiling like a flower, and her voice was clear and sweet, but they really couldn't appreciate the beauty at this moment. Lum Wan is a perverted big devil to the aliens of the red square camp, and he is also a big devil to them. Such an outstanding and stunning woman may make many men tempted, but few people can control her, and she can only be seen from a distance and cannot be played with. Let's go back to the base to rest. Lum Wan's face turned pale. She let Huo Ling control so many poisonous insects, and her own consumption is also very large, and she has absorbed so much poison gas before refining, and her meridians feel like they are about to burst. She must hurry back to retreat. Ming Xiu naturally saw the meaning of Lum Wan's strong support now. He felt extremely distressed. He walked up to her and hugged her waist and put on the flying magic weapon. Ye King Han and the others no longer hesitated to get on the flying weapon, while Nailange walked towards the silver-haired man who was still standing with his arms in his arms. Although he is a spy of the black camp buried in the red camp, his current identity cannot go to the base of the black camp, otherwise he will be beheaded by officers who do not know the details. Nailange watched Mingxiu's flying instrument leave with a deep and distant gaze, inexplicably relieved. "Big brother, fortunately you didn't shoot." Nailange raised an eyebrow. Nailange gave Nailange a cold look, "You have foresight. This younger brother has always been indifferent and did not expect that he would have a good relationship with Lum Wen and become close friends. He had to wonder if he saw the potential of those people and did it on purpose. Nailange could hear his eldest brother's words, "I became friends with them just because of their people, nothing to do with others." He only met Lum Wan's character and sincere attitude towards friends. Nailange narrowed his eyes meaningfully. His younger brother has always been indifferent and arrogant and disdained to lie, which shows that Lum Wan and the others should be worthy of friendship. However, he couldn't be as self-willed as Nailange. He clearly got along with Lum Wan and the others, and even helped them kill the aliens from the Red Camp. "I'll go first, be careful." Nailange disappeared after speaking. Nailange shrugged and released an alien puppet that jumped on his shoulders, and soon disappeared into the space. And Lum Wan not only beheaded all the Zerg control people, but also the news that the opponent's army of poisonous insects was used for his own use, and the crystal ball of the record of the battle at that time spread all over the battlefield outside the territory. The people from both the red and black camps were shocked. "My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant." Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 844. After Lum Wan returned to the central battlefield base, she immediately began to retreat and refine the poisonous mist, but the outside world broke out because of her affairs. The three top commanders of the black side and Yuche received Lum Wan not only exterminating the dozen or so most important alien races of the Zerg Master, but also taking their army of poisonous insects for their own use. The situation in the Red Camp was just the opposite, and there was a gloomy cloud in the Alliance headquarters. The aliens were all worried, fearing that Lum Wan would use the Zerg army's reckless strategy to sweep the major military fields, while the other two waves of people who had planned to attack Lum Wan temporarily stopped their plans and waited for the opportunity. This time, Lum Wan's real murderous reputation spread far and wide, followed by the title of Great Demon King. Her ranking on the list of murderous names has also become number 1, even more dreaded than Nailange's. The military merit list also jumped into the top 10 because of the commander who killed the insect race. Several people from Mingxiu also rushed into the top 100 because of the military merit list of the people who killed the Ghost Clan. Time flies by. Lum Wan and others have entered the extraterritorial battlefield for nearly 16 years. In the past 16 years, Lum Wan and Mingxiu have often used teleportation arrays to fight in various battlefields. Their military merit list has successfully occupied the top 4, and their military rank has also become a general. It is only one step away from the rank of commander. The aliens from the Red Camp, who had always been in a dominant position, were gradually suppressed by the Black Camp because of the rise of Lum Wan and others. The top 1,000 camps on the military merit list are also gradually equalizing, but the Black faction has not exceeded that much. In recent years, the aliens of the Red Camp have shrunk too much, and military merit is not easy to accumulate. After the last military exploits, everyone has a 3-month break, and then welcomes the upcoming decisive battle. In the past 10 years, there have also been many alien powerhouses from the Red Camp who have attacked and assassinated Lum Wan and several others, but they have been completely crushed by their strength. Because they shuttled through the major military fields, the ethnic groups in the Guangling world were sheltered by them, and the relationship was very harmonious. Even the Su family she hated was now following their lead. In fact, there are still many talented younger generations in the Su family who dislike the patriarch's adopted son, and feel sorry for Sujin's help in the extraterritorial battlefield, but also stand on Sujin's side one after another. Several geniuses of the Su family have all been promoted to the fusion realm. After returning to the family, their status will be highly promoted to the level of elders. Their decisions have a profound impact on the Su family. They were all going to return to Su's house and jointly pull the fake young master off the horse, to which Sujin neither supported nor opposed. He had no feelings for the Su family for a long time, except for wanting to slap in the face like Lum Wan said, he would not pick up that mess. However, there have been some changes to the children of the Su family in the extraterritorial battlefield. Not all the Su family are so indifferent and ruthless. Soon, the big battle came. Before the Armageddon, a man who was fully armed and secretive entered the room of the Supreme Commander of the Alliance headquarters of the Red Square Camp. On this day, Lu Muan received a letter from Neilange, and she and Ming Xiu went to the appointment without delay. After leaving the Alliance headquarters and flying for about half a day, Neilange entered the flying instrument of Ming Xiu. "Are you in a hurry?" Lu Muan looked at him and asked with raised eyebrows. Now is the critical period of the upcoming decisive battle, Neilange should have important things to find them. Neilange nodded. "Where did my brother get news that might be bad for you?" "Bad news for us." Lu Muan's mind changed. Could it be that the high-level leaders of the Red Camp want to deal with us in the final battle? "Never mind, my brother said that a mysterious man entered the top executive's secret room yesterday. It's not clear what they were talking about, but he was sure that the mysterious man was not an officer but someone who participated in an extraterritorial battlefield." Neilange rode. Lu Muan tapped the table lightly with his finger and said, "Have your elder brother found out the identity of that mysterious person?" "No, that person is very hidden, his strength is not low, and he is cunning like a loach. All the people he sent to follow have been tricked by him." Neilange said cautiously, "My brother said that the man's strength is not bad, and he failed to track him, so you should be careful. Maybe it is a spy from the Red Camp and the Black Camp. This may be the trump card used by the Red Team to deal with us." Ming Xiu always felt that the Red Team was too quiet recently, and it turned out to be waiting for them here. "I don't know what ideas they will come up with to deal with us." "Is this the top commander of the Red Camp interfering in the battle?" Lu Mubai asked. "No, as long as they don't take action themselves, they won't be considered interference in the battle." Neilange shook his head and said. He paused and continued, "But they may give something or set up a conspiracy to let the aliens of the Red Camp deal with you, and it is also possible for spies." His eldest brother Neilange was very powerful as a spy in the Red Camp, and no one found out for so long, so it is possible that there are deep spy in the Black Camp. "Well, we will be very careful." Lu Muan has also developed an inexplicable irritability and palpitations recently, and she will not despise the tactics of the top commander of the opposing faction. The location of the big battle is on a galaxy, a high platform is set up in the center of the galaxy, and a golden flag is erected on the high platform. There is also a wide bridge on the side of the high platform, and the middle of the bridge is directly connected to the high platform. Under the bridge is a vast land, suspended directly above the Milky Way. The positions of the Red and Black camps are just on both sides of the galaxy. When everyone who entered the extraterritorial battlefield was transported to both sides of the galaxy by the flying battleship, the Supreme Commander of the Red and Black camps appeared. However, each has a galaxy, and the announced rules are their respective Supreme Commanders. This time, the three top commanders of the Black camp stood in the air, and the one who opened the mouth to announce the rules was still the red-haired Karasi. "It's a pleasure to see you here. This means that in the past 16 years, your means of survival are very high, and being able to survive shows that your strength or life-saving skills are very strong. But don't be proud, because the time has come to truly reflect your strength and life-saving. The decisive battle is the last and biggest difficulty to test you. As long as you survive the big battle, you will not go to the battlefield outside the territory in vain. If we can win, you will proudly return to your interface with the glory and rich rewards that belong to you, and prove to your relatives, friends, enemies, and clan that you are the best. Of course, the Armageddon also means the road to death. There are countless people who have lost their lives in the Armageddon. If you want to survive, you must fight hard and fight the enemy with determination to win. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 845. Karasi said excitedly and then began to announce the rules of the Great Armageddon. There is only one test to decide the outcome of the Armageddon. You must have seen the flag erected on the high platform in the center of the Milky Way. C pointed to the high platform built independently on the Milky Way. That golden flag is what you are fighting for in the big battle. Whoever gets the flag first and takes it back to the camp will win the final victory. But don't underestimate the competition to capture the flag. First, you have to fly from where we are now to that piece of land suspended in the Milky Way. When you fly, the two sides will attack and fight first, and continue to fight on the land. Second, you have to rush from the land to the bridge across the bridge at the fastest speed. The fights on the bridge are basically people from the black and red camps with relatively strong strength. Thirdly, you have to quickly climb to the high platform through the bridge and pull down the flag. During this period, you will definitely encounter people who are frantically robbed by the enemy camp. This wave of battle is the most intense. Of course, if the flag is pulled up by the other party, your important task is to snatch it from that person. In the end, the person who won the golden flag must return to the camp where we are now, and it will be a victory if it is inserted in that position. Kalash raised his finger and pointed to a round platform in front of him, and a black flag was also erected on the round platform. We only won half of the golden flag, and the real win is to bring the flag back. Karosi swept the crowd sharply and said, "So I hope that in the end, no matter who our side grabs the golden flag, the rest of you must assemble to protect it. Individualism is not allowed in Armageddon, and Legion battles are no longer used. What we want is for you to unite with the outside world. If you should kill, don't be soft-hearted. Those who should protect this faction should also try their best to protect them. Presumably you all know the impact of the victory and defeat of the two sides after the big battle. If you lose the interface you are on, you will pay a heavy price for resources, and you will encounter complaints and blame when you return to your interface. But if you win, and you go back with glory and resources, you will be heroes of your own interface. From the official start of the big battle, we will disclose the ranking of the military merit list on all interfaces, as well as the on-site battle situation during the big battle. After you start the decisive battle, your relatives, friends, clansmen, enemies, and all the senior leaders of the ethnic groups in the interface will watch you fight and be worried or proud of you. I want to ask, do you want to be heroes? Caro 11 said loudly. Think. 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 The people below were obviously aroused by her high emotions, and the echoes reverberated in the air. After a while, a voice with determination echoed from the other side of the galaxy. Very good, since you all want to be heroes, then let's fight and use your strength to prove that none of our black campers are cowards. After Kilosi encouraged everyone, the other two Supreme Commanders did not speak, and their attention was on the other party's Supreme Commander. There were sparks between the two sides, and the hostility was very strong. However, he did not dare to violate the rules and directly affect the situation of the battle, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. Ding ding ding. A melodious voice with an ancient atmosphere resounded over the Milky Way, which was the signal for the start of the big battle. Okay, the big battle has officially started, you all go, Karasi said with a serious face and hope. Yes, when everyone heard her words, they were both nervous and excited, and they turned into streamers and flew towards the floating land. Lumwian, Mingxiu, the final task of grabbing the flag falls on you, don't let us down. When Lumwian and the two just flew out, Karosi's voice sounded in her ears. Yes, we will definitely live up to expectations, the two replied in unison. Before the big battle, Yu Che had come to them and handed over the final task of grabbing the flag to them both. The two looked at each other, tacitly seeing the firm determination in each other's eyes. Soon people from both camps met in the sky around the suspended land, and the battle was about to break out. At the same time, the extraterritorial battlefield announced the ranking of the latest military merit list and the battle situation of the decisive battle for all interface groups. The vast world. Since all the talented young generation in the Guangling world were forcibly teleported away by the law, those who did not know the battlefield outside the territory fell into panic. Soon, the powerhouses of the four major ethnic groups stood up one after another to announce the matter of the extraterritorial battlefield, which calmed everyone's anxiety. However, this does not mean that the four major ethnic groups in the Guangling world are at ease. The younger generation sent to the past represented the entire Guangling world to participate in the war, and the final outcome was directly related to the allocation of resources for tens of thousands of years in the future. As long as they were a little enterprising, they were paying attention to the extraterritorial battlefield. The senior leaders of the four major ethnic groups also rarely gathered together, waiting for the news of the extraterritorial battlefield. Among them are the domain masters of the human domain, the ancestors of several top forces, and the Hades, the four kings of the Sea clan, the 9 demon kings of the demon domain, and the demon venerable of the demon domain. At this time, they were all sitting in a quaint hall with a crystal ball in the center, and behind the crystal ball was a spar wall for projection. The familiar powerhouses chatted quietly, and suddenly the crystal ball in the center emitted a dazzling light. "Come on, the battle of the extraterritorial battlefield begins." A belligerent demon king looked at the crystal ball with great interest. The other powerhouses are actually not calm at the moment. After all, the outcome of the battlefield is related to the rise and fall of each of their clan's interests. After the crystal ball calmed down, a soft light enveloped it, and the spar wall behind it began to display the ranking of the latest military merit list. The military merit list is shown in flashbacks. The people of the four clans who entered the battlefield in the Guangling realm appeared one after another on the crystal wall, but the names of Lum Wen and the others were never mentioned. All the powerhouses in human domain couldn't help but start to get nervous. What they were most afraid of was Lum Wen's death in battle, the most outstanding genius among the younger generation. Soon, the names of the top 100 in the military merit list began to appear on the crystal wall, and the hall was silent and stared at it with bated breath. When the names of the top 10 people on the military merit list appeared, all the powerhouses were stunned. The first place is Lum Wen, the second place is Ming Xiu, the third place is Ye Qinghan, the fourth place is Lum Yubai, the fifth place is Nalan Zi, the sixth place. Sujin and some other geniuses from the Guangling world also successfully entered the top 100 in the military merit list. Okay. Very good, the strong men on the side of Renai couldn't help but get excited. With so many interface groups, I didn't expect that the top 3 people in the Guangling realm would be at the top of the military merit list. They are still dreaming. Immediately announce the latest news of the military merit list to the 4 major ethnic groups in the Guangling world. I believe they have already been waiting anxiously. The king of the North Sea saw that his baby son not only survived, but also ranked 3rd in the total military merit list. Clapped the table and shouted excitedly. The record crystal ball that had been prepared for a long time spread throughout the Guangling world, and all the practitioners of the 4 tribes were boiling. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 846. When Lum Wen and the others flew to the suspended continent, they were surrounded by densely packed people flying in the sky. An alien from the red camp took the lead to shoot down one of the black camp's serious injuries from the air, which became the fuse for the war between the 2 camps. The sky was constantly flashing with dazzling sword energy, and people on both sides were constantly being shot down and fell into the space crack under the Milky Way. Lum Wen and Ming Xiu crushed several 9th-rank defensive formation balls, covering all the 4 clans in the Guangling realm and the entire army. It is very difficult for the alien race to easily break the 9th-rank formation, so the people on their side have not been damaged for the time being. Lum Wen, Ming Xiu, Ye Qinghan, and Lu Muibai blazed a trail ahead and quickly smashed a path, setting foot on the suspended land together. After landing on the land, Lu Muian and the others did not hesitate, and they quickly rushed towards the bridge in the distance. They made it to the mainland smoothly, and the powerhouses who were ahead of the other races in the red camp also went to the floating land one after another, and they were full of fighting spirit. This time, the red team had clearly arranged a strategy before they came, and sent hundreds of alien powerhouses to besiege Lu Muian and the four, obviously wanting to stop their progress. Lu Muian released the red bee colony and a few spirit pets, and there was a melee all around. Several 9th grade defensive formation orbs also gradually collapsed under the strong joint attack of the red camp. Lu Muian and the two were 9th-rank array masters, and there were also members of the red team. "Break their formation, kill kill," an alien crimson shouted with red eyes. A sarcastic smile appeared on Lu Muian's lips. "We have a lot of magic balls, let's see how you break them." After she finished speaking, there were 3 more 9th grade defensive formation balls in her hand, and they threw them out, and everyone was protected in the formation again. The masters killed by the red camp suddenly have the urge to vomit blood. Can they still fight well? There are also 9th-rank array masters on their side, but none of them can refine the array ball. It takes at least an hour to set up a 9th-rank array. Where is it like Lu Muian and the others who threw it out in an instant? The 9th grade array magic ball issued. The people from the 4 clans and legions in the Guangling realm are all fusion realm cultivation bases, but they are strong and weak. They are protected by the formation balls of Lu Muian and Mingxiu, and they are not idle and constantly hostile in all directions. The people in the camp slashed with sword energy. Those with stronger strength, like Lu Muian and the others, stepped out of the formation and fought the enemy bravely. The 9th grade array ball can protect them from injury, but it will also limit the range of the attack. However, there are still many people who choose to hide in the protection of the formation. After all, going out with their strength is basically a death sentence. In my heart, I am still very grateful to Lu Muian and Mingxiu. At this time, as long as the qualified people of the 4 clans in the Guangling realm have the conditions, they have rushed to the fixed squares of each metropolitan city to watch the battle situation reflected from the recording crystal ball on the large crystal wall. Seeing Lu Muian and several other swordsmen guarding the realm, many people were moved. The powerhouses of the 4 clans gathered together are also very gratified. As long as this situation continues, the Guangling world will be the interface with the least number of people lost among the various interfaces in this extraterritorial battlefield. Lu Muian and the others went all the way and encountered many obstacles, but none of them posed a substantial threat. When they rushed to the center of the hanging continent, 10 superpowers from the red camp descended to surround Lu Muian and the others in a circle. "Let your lives stay here today," a green-haired man said coldly. "Really? There are a lot of people who threaten our lives like this, but they are the ones who left their lives in the end." Lu Muian's face was calm. The green-haired man smiled contemptuously. "That's their incompetence. It's useless to talk too much. Just use whatever means you have." Lu Muian knew that the Red Square camp would definitely ambush her and Mingxiu, and these 10 people should have come prepared. Sure enough, each of the 10 people took out a ring magic weapon of different colors. Extraordinary artifact. Mingxiu narrowed his eyes dangerously. "Everyone be careful." Lu Muian frowned slightly. The opponent's handwriting is really big, and the combined attack of 10 superb artifacts can approach the power of divine treasures. Seeing this, Ye Qinghan and Lu Muibai took out their own unique artifacts and treasures, ready to defend them at any time. 10 aliens kept spitting out difficult spells in the air. Lu Muian and Mingxiu looked at each other and decided to strike first. The 2 of them were surrounded by a sword formation transformed from the natal magic weapon, and they rushed towards the 10 people. In the 16 years of the extraterritorial battlefield, Lu Muian has also successively found the remaining materials for refining the 8-element attribute natal magic weapon, and refined them all. 8 long swords made of heaven-level spirits can be compared to the power of a peerless artifact. When the green-haired man saw Lum Wan flying over, he snorted coldly, and then sacrificed a pagoda. The pagoda is also a superb artifact, mainly for defense. Although the joint attack of the two quickly broke the defense of the pagoda, the 10 people also completed the preliminary preparations. I saw that the 10 ring instruments gradually merged into a translucent and bright halo, and waves of colorful light waves spread around. Lum Wan and Ming Xiu both felt the pressure from spreading the light waves, and the two stepped back together. The light wave attack of these 10 people has the effect of mental power attack, which makes it hard to guard against. The mental power of both of them is not low, so they can still resist with will. The 10 people's light wave attack was not only against Lum Wan's 4 people, but also the people in the formation behind them were not spared. Ming Xiu immediately took out a few 9th grade array magic balls to prevent mental attack, and crushed them. The soft light shrouded everyone, and the talents who had already felt their brains were about to explode gradually recovered less uncomfortable. Use that trick. Lum Wan looked at Ming Xiu with trust. Ming Xiu chuckled and nodded, okay. The two kept fighting, and the sword formation surrounding the natal magic weapon scattered and turned into 2 long swords, 1 gold and 1 silver. The two of them each held a long sword and slashed towards each other's light wave ring together. The rays of light radiated, and the light wave ring burst out with a group of strong light, doing the final resistance. After the long swords of the two were combined, they already had a power comparable to that of a low-grade divine treasure. The combined power of the 10 light wave rings was almost the power of a low-grade divine treasure. At first, the two were comparable. Gradually, Lum Wan and the two used a set of combined fencing techniques, which steadily gained the upper hand. When the ring of light waves was about to be defeated by the two of them, a mutation occurred. A demon cultivator from the demon realm who was originally guarding the formation in Lum Wan and Ming Xiu suddenly flew out of the formation, landed in front of the 10 people, and took out the same ring magic weapon. However, the aura emanating from the ring magic weapon in his hand is not comparable to the previous 10 ring magic tools at all. This is a divine treasure with a higher level than the dark golden defensive magic weapon in Lum Yubai's hands. His eyes were dark with a somewhat contradictory determination, and finally he stimulated the strongest killing technique of the ring magic weapon in the direction of Lum Wan and his party. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 847. That demon clan had been hiding too deep before, and he was very brave in beheading the people from the Red Camp. No one would have thought that he would turn around and deal with his own spies. The speed of his rebellion was too fast to be caught off guard, and with the powerful ring magic weapon in his hand, the strongest killing technique burst out so quickly, both Lum Wan and Ming Xiu were stunned. Be careful, Sujin and Yekinghan sacrificed the magic weapon in their hands at the same time, blocking a small part of the power of the opponent's divine treasure. But soon the two's magic weapon became much dimmed, and they were defeated by the power of the ring and fell to the ground. Ming Xiu's face changed greatly, he looked at Lum Wan with deep nostalgia. Yan'er, you must live. Before Lum Wan could act, Ming Xiu took out a token engraved with complicated and obscure dark patterns and greeted the ring divine treasure. The token suddenly became larger, and a black light flew out from the center of the token and flew straight towards the demon man. The speed was too fast for the man to escape. He hurriedly took out a superb defensive artifact and placed it in front of him to resist the strongest blow triggered by the ancient token of Mingxiu. The main reason was that the ring artifact in his hand was an attack-type spiritual treasure and had no defensive effect. And the most powerful killing skill of his ring divine treasure also fell in front of Ming Xiu. Ming Xiu revolved all the UN force in his body to stimulate his strongest sword skill, which combined offense and defense, and activated the defense function in the token, and soon a circle of black light enveloped him. Boom, several loud noises exploded on the land with dazzling light. Many people in the Red Camp that were closer to the camp were affected and were either seriously injured or died. Ming Xiu blocked all the power on the ring magic weapon alone, and the people behind him were not affected too much, and the most serious people only vomited blood and suffered a little injury. At this time, Lum Wen was staring at the bright light as if her whole body had been tapped. She felt that the breath of the meditation was getting weaker and weaker. She was about to go forward but was forcibly dragged by Long Yao. The master said to let you live. Long Yao's voice was a little choked. The dazzling light dissipated, and Ming Xiu's body also disappeared little by little with the strong light. Lum Wen broke free from the shackles of Long Yao, and shot a soft green light onto the place where Ming Xiu's body disappeared. From the rebellion of the demons to the devotion to Ming Xiu, the most powerful blow of the divine treasure was blocked for everyone behind, and many people have not yet reacted. When Huang Shen came over, he saw that Ming Xiu's body had been completely defeated by the power of the divine treasure, leaving only his space ring and a string of wood-carved Buddha bead bracelets. Then everyone saw Lum Wen move to the place where Ming Xiu disappeared, and quickly picked up the string of wood-carving bracelets. Lum Wen used her mental power to investigate, and found that a faint white light was shrouded in Ming Xiu's blue bracelet, which was covered with a layer of green mist that she had shot before. Tears fell from the corners of Lum Wen's eyes. She knew that the white light was the soul of Ming Xiu who had fallen into a deep sleep. The demon race is holding a middle-grade divine treasure, and unless the cultivation base reaches the immortal, it is impossible to resist that power. The quaint token Ming Xiu took out was a low-grade divine treasure given to him by the Underworld Emperor, which removed most of the strength and resistance of the ring. The blue bracelet has the power to repair and protect the soul. Although the body of Ming Xiu was damaged, the soul was deeply pulled out by the protective power of the blue bracelet in the powerful attack. In the string of soul-cultivating wooden Buddhas, Lum Wen held the string of Buddha beads tightly in both hands. Her fingertips turned white, and a drop of tears fell to the ground and got wet. Her whole body exuded a deep sadness. At the same time, the demon was killed by the strongest blow in the token released by Ming Xiu, and none of the 10 people behind him were spared. At the same time, the people of the Red Square camp around them were also affected by a large number of casualties. Mo Yan flew out from Lum Wen's shoulder, grabbed the ring divine treasure that fell on the ground, and put it away before the people from the Red Camp could react. This divine treasure was given by the Supreme Commander of the Red Camp, and there are restrictions on it. People belonging to the Black Camp cannot activate it. If other people from the Red Camp get the Black Camp first, it will be completely troublesome. It was the first time that Jun Luokan saw the cunning and sunny Lum Wen showing such sadness, so he spoke through the pendant to comfort him. As long as his soul is immortal, he can reshape his body like me. Ye Qinghan and Lu Mubai didn't expect things to turn out like this. They have always been on guard against spies, but no one expected that the most deeply buried spies in the Black Camp were actually from the Guanglingja ethnic group. It's a mid-grade treasure. Even if it is activated by other people in the Red Camp, no one can resist. Nailange pursed his lips. Ming Xiu sacrificed his life for the sake of righteousness and saved the overall situation. If Ming Xiu hadn't resisted the strongest attack of the divine treasure alone, everyone in the Guangling world, including Lum Wen, would be affected to death. The spy's most important role was to take Lum Wen and his party into the attack range by surprise, but he still miscalculated. Presumably, the commander of the Red Square camp did not expect that Ming Xiu was carrying a divine treasure. The top commander of the Red camp played this trick really badly. Ye Qinghan and Lu Mubai quickly stepped forward to help Lum Wen up, but their hearts were also very uncomfortable and heavy. Lu Muting and Lum Wen were twins who could fully feel her grief and the pain in their hearts. He walked up to her without comforting her. "Sister, take revenge first." He knew that at this moment, perhaps only this incident could relieve Lum Wen from the pain of losing his beloved. None of the people present knew that Ming Xiu's soul was protected by the power of the blue bracelet, and they all thought that Ming Xiu was dead. Mo Yan's dull eyes were full of painful anger at this time. "Woman, cheer up and kill. Kill it, Two words summed up the mood of everyone present. They just want to turn such grief and anger into endless killing intent and kill all the people in the red camp. Ming Xiu's soul is not destroyed, and there is still a chance to be resurrected, but Lum Weian's heart has never been so painful. Watching her lover die before her eyes, such a blow made her as strong as a rock almost collapse. If it wasn't for the fact that Ming Xiu's soul was being repaired by the power of the blue bracelet at this time, she would really go crazy. But at this time, the meditation has also fallen into a complete unconscious sleep. Whether the soul can wake up, and when it will wake up is simply unknown. She took off the ice bracelet from her hand and chanted a difficult spell in a hoarse and low voice. The ice bracelet gradually turned into broken stars and swayed on her fingertips, and she sent this power into the soul-cultivating wooden Buddha around the soul. Soon the starlight that the ice bracelet turned into merged with the blue bracelet, emitting a circle of soft radiance around the soul of meditation, gradually repairing and nourishing his soul. Lum Weian stood up, with all the emotions in her eyes, her red clothes flying, and her whole body exuded endless killing intent. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 848. Lum Weian's eyes were cold, and there was only coldness and killing intent on her beautiful face. A silver sword with 8 attributes in one fell into her hands. She lowered her eyes slightly, raised her long sword and cut her fingers, and drops of blood essence fell from the hilt to the tip of the sword. The blood dyed the silver long sword red, with a sense of desolation, which made the hearts of Yekinghan and others tugged and uncomfortable. She chanted a spell in her mouth, and the blood essence quickly melted into the long sword, and a flickering red light wrapped around the sword. The level of the long sword also jumped with the red light, and was promoted from a superb artifact to a low-grade divine treasure. She took out a bottle of medicinal herb and poured it into her mouth, and all the medicinal power was suppressed by her in her dantian for later use. Kill them, she calmly turned her head to look at Mo Yan. I want to slaughter them all. Mo Yan's voice was painful. Okay. He immediately turned into a white light and penetrated into Lum Weian's body. Soon, Lum Weian immediately broke through to the cultivation level of the fusion realm, and finally stopped when the cultivation level was at the peak of the fusion realm. A pair of transparent wings wrapped with purple light and lightning stretched from the back, and a cluster of bright red marks on the forehead was revealed. She was moved, and a large army of poisonous insects drilled out of the specially made pet ring and rushed towards the aliens of the red camp in all directions. She spread out her hands, and a purple gold fire unicorn emerged from her palm, rubbed her wrist with her head, and looked a little sad. Go Lum Weian flipped Huo Kailan's head calmly. The fire unicorn's red eyes were full of raging flames, and strands of dark green poisonous gas spread from the flames on his body. The piles of 9th grade array balls and 9th grade talismans were taken out by Lum Weian and thrown to Lum Yuding and others. Smash it! The swarms of red bees formed into clusters of colorful fog, blocking the only way to the bridge from the hanging continent. If you want to get past the red bees, you must kill the red bees. Then she tapped her toes and took the lead in rushing into the opposite red camp, wielding her sword and beheading. There was mourning everywhere they passed, and the people in the red camp saw that Lum Weian was a mad killing god at this time. Although Lum Weian had controlled the army of poisonous insects for more than 10 years before, she had not used it in the battlefield. But now she just wants to slaughter all the aliens from the red camp. They have been assassinated by the red camp countless times since they entered the extraterritorial battlefield. Her man died because of the other party, even if the soul is not destroyed, but she doesn't know when he will wake up, the soul can be repaired, or if there are any sequelae. She can't accept losing the meditation, she must win. If you win, you will be able to go to the 3 supreme commanders of the Black Camp to meet the conditions. Maybe it will revive the soul of Mingxiu. Yekinghan and the others did not hold back, the same word repeated in their hearts, kill kill kill. In particular, the sword masters in the Guangling realm stepped out of the defensive 9th grade formation, and began to fight hard against the people in the red camp. Meditation is their spiritual leader, their pride and hero. The people in the red camp were shocked by the murderous intent of Lum Wen and others, and they complained again and again, so they could only bite the bullet and fight back. The place where the poisonous insects and poisonous gas passed was a shrill scream. At this time, Nalans shot and killed several of the strongest aliens in the red camp. The identity of the spy was exposed, and the red camp was in an uproar. This is even more terrifying than the demon who is a spy. Nalanj released all the alien puppets, and also beheaded a large number of red camp aliens. Nalanj, your brothers are really good. A beheaded strong man from the red camp stared at the two brothers, clutching his chest and staring at him. The two were unaffected and let go of their hands to kill. At this time, all the spies from the two camps began to expose. After all, it would be meaningless to hide it any longer. And several of the demon races in the Guangling realm who came from the same family as the rebel man before all shot against the other demon races around them, and they were all spies. Fortunately, everyone kept an eye on it this time, and joined forces to kill all of them at the first time. Blood splattered on the dangling continent, and people from both camps were fighting each other. Obviously their eyes were red. Especially Lum Wen, every time she went, she was surrounded by corpses, and all the spiritual pets turned into a fierce battle of grief and anger. Boom, the array balls and the talismans were thrown out one by one, and the energy of the explosion was everywhere. The people of the red camp gradually showed a decline, and the number of people dropped by 1/3, but the movements of Lum Wen and others not only did not slow down, but they killed more and more fiercely. The three top commanders of the red camp couldn't help being a little stunned when they saw that the situation in the field had reversed so much. They never imagined that the plan, which had a 9-point certainty, was only partially successful, and it was considered a failure. The most important thing is that it completely inspired Lum Wen's hidden murderousness and the blood of those who participated in the battle from the black camp. The situation went in the opposite direction, and they were impatient and helpless at the same time. In the Guangling realm, the people of the four clans were stunned when they saw Ming Xiu die for righteousness on the crystal walls of the major central cities. Every central city was silent, and only strong emotions of grief and anger spread. In particular, the demon clan in the demon domain was extremely sad and angry. They did not expect that the people from their demon clan were the ones who pulled everyone back in the end. Go, and smash the Huo family. They are definitely not the native ethnic groups in our Guangling world. They are spies lurking in the Guangling world on the hetero interface. One person rushed towards the position of General Huo's mansion shouting. In the hall where the upper floors of the continent gather. At this time, Emperor Hades' face was blue and black, and his eyes were full of pain and sadness, and he waved at the Demon Venerable. Demon Venerable's face at this time was also quite ugly. He didn't expect that there would be races from the alien interface mixed in the place under his jurisdiction. He did not fight back and was slapped by the Underworld Emperor. He can understand the heartache of losing the most important person, just like he killed the most important brother in his heart back then. Only when you lose it completely will you know that the person is so important, and the power and interests are really nothing compared to that person, but they were blinded back then. When a group of strong men saw the Emperor Ming's move, they immediately stepped forward to persuade them. Although everyone can understand the pain of the Underworld Emperor's loss of his child, the Demon Venerable is fundamentally innocent. Emperor Hades sat on the spot in a bit of dejection, and his mind was directly connected to the deity. He found that the soul card of Mingxiu had only a few cracks but was not broken, and a ray of light broke out in his eyes. He remembered Lum Wen's actions before, and he became more and more certain that his son was dead but his soul was still alive, and there was still hope for resurrection. He snorted coldly, rolled his sleeves and sat back to his original position, his face still extremely ugly. Although it is speculated that Ming Xiu's soul is still alive, the pain in Emperor Ming's heart has not diminished much. The son he has grown up with has never suffered such a disaster. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 849. Lum Wan beheaded all the way, and rushed to the entrance to the bridge from the hanging continent first. The army of poisonous insects also surrounded them and blocked all the roads leading to the bridge. People from both the red camp and the black camp felt their scalps tingle when they saw the dense army of poisonous insects spitting poisonous mist. The others were also stunned by Lum Wan's madness. She was an out-and-out killing god at this time. Coupled with the defense of the Red Bee colony and the army of poisonous insects, the aliens of the red camp have been circling ahead, and they are unwilling to take the lead to block it, mainly because they do not have the ability. The people from the black camp showed excitement when they saw Lum Wan on the bridge, and the people from the red camp were even more diligent in besieging them, and the fierce battle continued. Lum Wan passed through the center of the bridge unimpeded, jumped to the opposite high platform, and pulled up the golden flag with one hand. And Lum Wan also created the first person to get the golden battle flag unimpeded in the past foreign battlefields. The Armageddon stipulates that no matter who pulls the golden flag, it is not allowed to be stored in the storage device, and can only be held outside for other people to snatch it. With a cold expression on her face, she quickly returned to the dangling continent with the flag, but instead of rushing towards the black camp, she tied the flag on her back and looked at the red lightly. Alien of the square camp. The people from the black camp wanted to surround and protect Lum Wan from breaking through, but it was obvious that her calm appearance were all overshadowed. What does this big devil want to do? Suddenly remembering the sentence she said before, I'm going to slaughter them all, I couldn't help shivering, and she was no joke at all. The people in the red camp were also stunned. They were all ready to go up to block and fight. Who knew that Lum Wan would actually stand with no intention of running away, and invariably remembered her previous sentence of determination. If, as the highest commander of the black side, Naylands was deeply helpless when he saw Lum Wan's actions. Going up and persuading her to send the flag to the camp as soon as possible has no such position. After all, it is normal for someone to want revenge if their lover dies. But it's not an option to stay in this stalemate. The people in the red camp have been intimidated by Lum Wan, who killed the Red Eye before, and gradually formed a surrounding circle not far away, but no one had the consciousness to go up to death first. The three top commanders of the red camp looked at this situation on the other side of the galaxy, their faces turned black, and they were panicked. Go on, go grab the flag. If the black side wins, you don't have to go back to your own interface. A red side's top commander couldn't hold back his voice transmission to all the aliens from the red side. In this way, their face will be lost, and they may be laughed to death by the three black and others. Moreover, the winning or losing of both sides is too important to their distribution of resources and interests, and they cannot admit defeat until the last moment. Hearing the stern and indifferent voice transmission of their own commander, the aliens of the red camp were miserable in their hearts. This is really a tiger before and a wolf behind. If they don't die in Lum Wan's hands today, they will be punished by the Supreme Commander and never return to their hometown. Many aliens were very sad and angry, and looking at Lum Wan, their eyes were filled with fierce killing intent. Grab, let's go get the flag back. I don't believe Lum Wan can really kill us all. An alien strongman roared with killing intent, and took the lead in rushing up. If Lum Wan didn't die, they died. Even if she was shocked by her crazy style and powerful strength before, she couldn't resist the heart that wanted to live. The war was aroused again, and people from both camps fought to the death on the dangling continent. There are countless alien races besieging Lum Wan. She constantly wields the silver longsword in her hand. The sword energy is very powerful, forming a sword art killing formation with different elements. The alien race under the fusion of the upper realm is not seriously injured. Is death. The high-level formation balls and talismans were thrown away like no money, and the fire formation of the spirit fire turned into pieces of fire waves under her control, sweeping in all directions. There were screams everywhere, and they were either poisoned or burned to death. Swarms of red bees and an army of poisonous insects also poured out from the entrance of the bridge, leaving white bones everywhere they went. The people in the red camp just wanted to burst into tears. The poisonous insects that were the killer of their camp used to kill the people of the black camp. It was so cool, and now they feel so aggrieved and frightened when they are besieged. I couldn't help but scolded all the 18 generations of the wasteful ancestors of the Zerg race. Without the diamond, they had to take the porcelain work. Now they are deeply surrounded by the army of poisonous insects, which is really harmful. Meow Meow and other spiritual pets have all turned into their own bodies, sweeping the alien races around. All of them are red-eyed. Ming Xiu is the male master they believe, and if this revenge is not repaid, they themselves can't get over that hurdle. The people from the Black Camp Alliance who have received the favor of Lum Wen and Ming Xiu are also struggling to fight, especially the people from the Guanglingja ethnic group, and the demons and the human domain are the most hard-working. After all, the spies came from the demon race. In order to reduce the anger of other groups and clear their suspicions, they could only do their best, at least to make the other groups in the Guangling realm not so hostile to the demon race. Lum Wan's ability to fight in groups makes people tongue-tied, and she has a variety of tricks. She is as powerful as she can withstand thousands of troops. The most important thing is that she doesn't seem to be tired. Once the UN energy in her body is consumed, she immediately takes out the medicinal herbs and spirit wine to replenish it. Such an opponent is too scary. A little bit of time passed, and although the people of the Red Camp fought desperately, they still couldn't save the defeat. There were fewer and fewer people left, only one of the three who came. They were constantly besieged and killed by people from the Black Camp, and it was difficult to even save their lives, let alone grab the flag. A voice transmission filled with anger and accusation sounded in the sea of consciousness of the three top commanders of the Red Party. The faces of the three top commanders were extremely gloomy. Seeing that the aliens of the Red Camp would be killed if they continued, and with the sound transmission, they looked at each other and flew out. If everyone was slaughtered by the black side, they would be the most humiliating alliance in history. Stop. A coercive male voice sounded, and the people in the black camp were dizzy and forced to stop. The people in the red camp were relieved from their despair, and they were greatly relieved to see their three supreme commanders descend. They can't save the victory or defeat of the battle, so now the most important thing is to save lives. Lum Wan's eyes became colder, condensed with blazing killing intent, and looked coldly at the three top commanders of the red side who suddenly descended in midair. Since the beginning of the extraterritorial battlefield, these three people have used the insect-controlling army of poisonous insects to suppress the black camp in various military battlefields. What to do? After they rose up, the three secretly planned to let the aliens of the red camp continue to assassinate them, and now they shamelessly gave them divine treasures so that the spies buried in the demons wanted to kill them all. Such a person's cultivation base is very powerful, but their character is so poor and inferior, she will not bow to them no matter what. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 850. The three supreme commanders of the Red Camp appeared and descended over the suspended continent, with domineering aura. The three supreme commanders of the black side obviously did not expect that they would actually obstruct the decisive battle, and they all shifted and landed in the sky above the mainland. They were already very annoyed at the fact that the three people in the red side quietly gave the treasure to the spies. The rules of the extraterritorial battlefield do not stipulate that it is illegal for officers to give things to others, But every officer who enters the extraterritorial battlefield cannot bring in the lower grade divine treasure or above. Therefore, the three supreme commanders of the Red Camp gave them the middle grade divine treasure that the demons had given them by surprise, and they could not doubt how the other party transported the middle grade divine treasure to the outer battlefield. If they could bring in the treasures, they would naturally give them to Lum Wen and others before the war, but unfortunately they didn't bring it in. Just hope it's not as they guessed, otherwise it's going to be a lot of trouble. Kyoshi, what do you mean? Do you want to obstruct the process of the big battle? Kairoshi raised his eyebrows and looked at the man with red hair on the opposite side. It was her half-brother, but their relationship was very bad, even incompatible. Kyoshi doesn't like this half-sister who is more talented and stronger than him, and his attitude is very indifferent. The people in your black camp want to kill all of our people, isn't it too much? Already. If they don't come out, Lum Wan's ruthless temperament will definitely be able to kill everyone. Before waiting for the three of the black camp to speak, Lum Wan took the lead with a sneer. Isn't the battlefield outside the territory used to kill the enemy? If it is not allowed to kill each other, then why should there be a military reward and a decisive battle, even if you are killed? It's just not as good as people. The three supreme commanders are you leading by example to help others. The irony in her words was full of irony, and she directly expressed her dissatisfaction with the three top commanders of the Red Camp. The three top commanders of the Red Camp did not expect that Lum Wan would dare to speak and ridicule them, and their faces were extremely displeased. Presumptuous, Kyoshi had a gloomy face, and released a strong coercion from his body, heading straight towards Lum Wan. The gap between Lum Wan's cultivation base and the opponent's strength was too great, and a mouthful of blood spilled out of her mouth. Lum Wan bit her blood-stained red lips tightly, her eyes full of coldness, and the silver longsword and pestle supported her body on the ground, otherwise she would only show the slightest weakness. She raised her head and looked at each other without fear, with a disgust in her eyes. You only have this ability to bully the small, she sneered, very disdainful. When the three of them appeared, she quietly sent a wisp of soul to Yeking Han's treasure of the Sea clan. If it was damaged, there was still a chance of resurrection. She wouldn't be soft on the murderer who killed Mingxiu, even if it was death, she wouldn't be afraid. But if she died today, when she and Mingxiu came back again, they must be slaughtered together. The three Kairoshi were full of anger, and she waved her hand to resist the pressure. Kyoshi, don't go too far, bully the younger generation, are you trying to interfere in the battlefield? Kyoshi raised his eyebrows, how is it? Who gave you such arrogant rights? With the three of us here, you can't touch a single hair of the people in the Red Camp, Yi Cheng said coldly. Don't think that they will ride to the head if they have been patient, this time it is really unbearable. Even if the big man is standing behind the three, they can only offend. Otherwise, even the people from their own faction alliance can't protect them, and they will be shameless when they go out in the future. We didn't say we were going to kill the people from your Red Camp. Kyoshi pointed to Lum Wan grimly and said, but we're going to take her away. This woman caused their Red Camp to suffer heavy losses, so naturally they couldn't let it go so easily. Kyoshi, do you really think that we have no one in the Black Camp? Kailashi was full of anger. You guys want to violate the rules of the extraterritorial battlefield and intervene, we will definitely reflect on the above, and then you will be punished. What rules have we violated? Kyoshi sneered, we just asked this Miss Lu to sit down, and it doesn't mean anything. They couldn't take this breath, but they wouldn't blatantly kill Lum Wan, but it was inevitable to do something. You are too presumptuous. Yi Cheng squinted his eyes and said, as long as the three of us are still alive, Lum Wan will never allow you to take it away. These three people have been relying on someone behind them to be very insidious and arrogant in the upper realm. If Lum Wan was really brought back by them, he would be crippled if he didn't die. Since they strongly supported Lum Wan not to keep a low profile before, it is naturally impossible to watch the Red Camp take her away now. Okay. It's okay not to take Lum Wen with you. An old man in black beside Xianxia smiled and said, then this time the big battle will end here, and the process of grabbing the battle flag should be interrupted. The Tai was also annihilated by the embarrassing army. When they acted just now, they had sealed all the recording crystal balls near the Milky Way, and their current actions could not be communicated at all. Emotions, you guys have such an idea. Kai Loxi snorted coldly, I have seen shameless people, but I have never seen such shameless people as you. Isn't it enough that we have already lost more than 2/3 of the people here? Xianxia was obviously not going to give face to the Black Camp, and threatened, the Red Wind Venerable is already angry, if you are stubborn, at your own risk. Hearing his words, the expressions of the three of them changed. It turned out that Venerable Chifeng really intervened in this extraterritorial battlefield. The rules of the extraterritorial battlefield can't be broken. Even if your lord comes, we will not be able to meet your requirements. Yun Yangxiu, who had not spoken for a long time, said forcefully, either you retreat and forget it for the time being. Otherwise, let's fight. If you win, the three of us will talk about it. These people are so deceiving. With a move in his hand, a long sword appeared out of thin air, full of fighting spirit. Although Kai Luo 11 and Yi Cheng didn't want to offend the Chifeng Venerable, they couldn't let others bully them and didn't fight back. They couldn't compromise whether it was Lum Wen or the final battle. The eyes of the three people in the red camp were all sullen. The strength of the three of them was not as strong as that of the three of them, and they would only lose if they wanted to fight. Why do you have to be rough on your own? When the two sides were at a stalemate, a middle-aged man suddenly appeared in this space. Seeing the person coming, the expressions of the three Karasi changed completely. Meet Lord Chifeng. The six immediately stepped forward and saluted the middle-aged man who appeared. With a kind smile, Venerable Chifeng swept the three top commanders of the sweeping black faction, and said, it is this old man who wants to bring this little friend back as a guest. As for the outcome of the decisive battle, you can continue. Compete. Everyone in his mouth could tell that it was Lum Wen. Your Excellency, Lum Wen is the main force of our camp. It is not appropriate to be a guest now. Yun Yangxiu stepped forward and said respectfully. Venerable Chifeng still had a kind smile on his face, chuckled lightly, and waved his sleeves casually. Yun Yangxiu's body flew out 100 meters away, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. The old man doesn't like other people bargaining with me. His voice was gentle, but it made people shudder.